guys? Let's dive right into it. So today, I just want to talk about a couple of little things that's been going on with the Cowboys. The only news that came out today so far is that JSN, Jackson from Ohio State, is coming for a pre-draft visit today. I think that's pretty good. I think the Cowboys are really starting to show interest in wide receiver. I don't necessarily know if the Cowboys will end up drafting him, and that's only going to be because of his position value of where he's going to be going. He's probably going to be going in, I'd say, in the top 10, maybe 20, either between 10 or 20, somewhere around there, somewhere in that range. I think he's going to fall. So I don't necessarily think he'll make it there, but he could possibly make it, maybe in the early 20s. And I think the only way Cowboys would get him is if he makes it to like the early 20s, and I think maybe even then the Cowboys may trade up to grab him. I know the Cowboys really like him, and I think if he's close enough, I think they'll make that trade to grab him. But other than that, I don't see the Cowboys grabbing him. Doesn't mean that I wouldn't want him. I would love him. I think he's one of the best receivers in his class. I think his route running is A1. I think his speed and his awareness, his ability to get open is top 5 for sure, top 3 maybe even. But just wanted to give that update of what's going on with the pre-draft visits. I know he's coming in. I know that's pretty new. Let's dive into a couple topics that I do have. The first one, I think, is if the Cowboys want to make success and to get into the Super Bowl, I think that they just need to go back to a little bit of old school football. Now, what I mean by that is I know Jerry has done a tremendous job of getting the Cowboys brand to be number one everywhere, which means, Cowboys are always going to be Sunday Night Football. They're always going to grab the most crowd attention, and that's because Jerry's just a very good salesman. He's done a great job on that part, but I think Jerry just needs to get back to it on this old school football. And that just means just creating competition within his roster. I think Cowboys, sometimes they get too comfortable with where they are, and they just kind of sit back and don't have to get competition where they have to be A1 at their spot. And I think some of it has to do with either, like I said, they just know that there's, like, for example, if I'm a defensive end like DeMarcus Lawrence, if I know there's nobody behind me that can possibly take my job, I'm going to be a little bit more comfortable. And sometimes that can come with, not laziness, but, that can come with not having the effort because I know no one's going to come take my job. I think if Cowboys just can create that competition, I think it could spark a fire back in them again. And I think that can maybe set us over the edge. Cowboys have always been right there in terms of, like, playoffs. They always get just those right amount and certain amount of players that can get us to, like, the playoff spots. But I feel like if Cowboys can follow this format that I have, I think that could take us over the top, maybe even to the championship games on a more consistent level year after year. I know that our competition right now is primarily Philly, and if Philly, I feel like Philly's doing similar things of what I'm saying, and that's what's been putting them on top. Super Bowl appearance. I think if Cowboys, like I said, can just create that competition, add players from the draft, add players from the free agency, that creates that competition. It can spark one another. It can light up something that the Cowboys haven't had in a minute. I just think if they can do that, I think Cowboys have a really good chance of making it a little bit more further. So I have about 5 positions that I feel like Cowboys is a off-season need right now, and that could be addressed. Some of it through draft, and some of it could have been done in free agency, and they probably still can with a couple of listings that I do have right here. Let's go with the first one. So the first one and the second one are going to be, I think, obvious, which is going to be your interior line, maybe even a tackle, or interior defensive line. I think for the defensive line, outside of Hankins, you don't really have anybody else that's big body, can stop the run, and so on and so forth. I know you have Osa, but Osa's more of a pass rush. He can get the tackles, he can get the pressure, but that's about it. I think you need one more solid run stopper to pair up with Hankins to stop the run. And then after that, you can throw Osa in the mix and the other guy in the mix to rotate to make the pass rush. And as far as the offensive line goes, I just think that, we're in a good spot. And what I mean by that is, obviously you have your Steele as your right tackle. You have right guard as Zach Martin. That's solid. Then you have your center, which is decent. He's pretty good. He's pretty good at the run game and all that stuff and all that. But I think when it comes to your tackle, you have Tyler Smith, which you already know what you have in Tyler Smith. He's a very solid tackle. I think he should have been, Rookie of the Year, or at least in the runnings, because he was a very good tackle. I'm pretty sure nobody was expecting. I know I wasn't expecting. I was one of those. I was like, man, why the hell did we get Tyler Smith? You could have got all the other players that I thought were better, but look how he panned out. So you have him, and then you have Tyrone Smith, which is back, but he's like you said, he's not always a guarantee. He is always hurt most of the time. But hey, if he's healthy in the beginning of the year, that's a good thing to have. You can always, worst case scenario, you could start him at your left tackle, and you can have Tyler Smith as your guard. But it would not hurt if Cowboys got another tackle or another guard. And what I mean by tackle is if you have another tackle that you think is better than Tyler Smith, then you could just throw Tyler at guard, which you know he was already a dog at. He was good. And then you have your whole solid defensive line. You have your solid offensive line. And then, which when you have that, Dak's going to do his thing in the back. He doesn't have to throw 300 times or 400 times a game. I know I'm over-exaggerating the number, but you know what I mean. If Dak doesn't throw the ball as much, we win games. So he kind of leaves the balls in the hands of his running backs, only Pollard and whoever's going to be solid number 2. That's why I think those two are the most solid. Those are the most needs at in the draft. And then we have number 3 is going to be my running back. I know we have Tony Pollard. He signed a franchise tag, which is a good thing. You know, I think he deserved it. He put in the work. He's a very explosive, fast, can do it all running back. But I think you just need to pair him with a number 2. I think you can do that in the draft. I don't necessarily think you have to do it in the first round, only because, like I said, the running back class is deep. I do think that you can pair him up with a different style of back, though. Tony Pollard's quick, explosive. He's not going to truck you. He's not a Zeke, pretty much like that. He has more traits, I think, but he's not Zeke. You know, he's not big, thick, and can get the hard, you know, the 1 or 2 yards whenever there's stuff in the lineup. I don't think he's going to do that for you. So I think in the draft, you assess that. And then number 4 is a topic that I've been thinking about lately, and I think the Cowboys should try, is wide receiver. Like I said, you already have Cooks, you already have CeeDee Lamb, and you have Michael Gallups. But I do think that you do need to pair up somebody, and that's only because I don't trust Michael Gallup. And what I mean by that is because of his health reasons, not because of who he has a wide receiver. If he was 100% healthy and how he was in the very beginning, then it'd be no question Michael Gallup is your guy. We don't need a receiver. But ever since that injury, I just don't trust him as far as being, I guess, liability-wise. You know, I just think if you get somebody later in the draft, then that'd be fine. One of the players that I think the Cowboys could address at wide receiver if they don't do it in the draft, what I've been thinking about lately, what I think would be a good idea is why don't they give Turpin a shot? Now, before you say, oh, well, he's too small and all that stuff, I get it. I mean, he did it in college. He did his thing in college. I mean, he has the speed. He did it in college. He has the ability. He can track the ball. He's fast. He's explosive. He can create separation. I mean, why waste a draft pick if you have a guy that you could try? I mean, try him out, bro. You never know. What if he's like elite, or what if he comes out of the thing? I mean, he's already told the Cowboys he wants to do it. So you know what he's signing up for. So you can't say, well, he's going to take big hits up the middle or across. Okay, well, he knows what he signed up for, bro. He's in the NFL for a reason. Give him a shot. If worst case, draft one in the later rounds or something. You know what I mean? It's just a thought. Why don't they give Turpin a shot? He, like you said, he's wanting to do it. I would give him a good look at. And in case Cowboys don't draft it in the thing. I tell you what, if the Cowboys don't draft a receiver this year, I think that's where they're going to go. I think they're going to try him out. And I think this is going to say a lot about how they feel about Gallup. And the last one is going to be cornerback. I think, and the only reason why for cornerback, I just think is because they need depth. I don't want Joseph on my roster. I just think we can have more people here that actually want to play football and give it a little bit more effort. I mean, I'm sorry. I had high hopes for him when he came out of Kentucky. I thought he was going to be a good player for us, but I just don't think his heart and mind is really into football right now. I think he wants to do his rap career or whatever he's going to do, and I wish the best for him. I don't wish any ill on anybody, but I think Lewis could be a solid backup. I think he's pretty good. But I think if you create one more person, like I said, you always want to have that competition and you want to have that person that can learn under Gilmore because Gilmore's not going to last forever. You need somebody that's going to be a star to pair up with alongside of Trayvon Diggs. And so I think those are the top 5 routes I think Cowboys need to draft in order to get us over the top, to get us right in that playoff spot, championship. Hopefully, obviously, the goal is to go Super Bowl. And I think if they can just follow that right there. I think that would give him a great shot at winning the Super Bowl. And before I leave y'all guys off, man, I did a little 4-round mock draft on a website. And like I said, it's just a mock draft. I'm just going off what the board felt like. Well, as the board fell, you know, like I said, I know some players you might think that he might not be there or whatever, but like you said, you got to remember somebody's going to fall. And it could be a tackle, it could be running back, receiver, it could be anybody. Somebody's going to fall. It happens every year. So in the first round, the Cowboys, I have them selected Nolan Smith, defensive end, and Bijan Robinson was there. You had a couple of tackles that were there, guards that were there, but I think, you know, I see a lot of people taking the obvious, and sometimes I know the Cowboys don't take the obvious. Sometimes they take a guard that's not even on the list, like Mafi or something like that, but he wasn't there. But like I said, I look at the game now. The game's changing to all about speed. Look at Philly. They have a lot of speed on their team. I think you're looking for the person that's going to take DeMarcus Lawrence's spot eventually. Look, I saw how he ran his 40-time dash. He's fast, physical. He has the ability to bend. He's flexible. And I think the Cowboys could use that alongside Michael Parsons. I think if you get him paired up with Parsons, I think that'd be a deadly duo. So I would like that pick. And then the second round, I have them picking John Schmitz. Sorry if I mispronounced the name. But I know he played center in Minnesota, but I can see him playing guard. I think he's even came out and said he would play guard for us. If that's the case, then that just solved your your guard/tackle dilemma. You have Tyler Smith, him, Biotis, Zach Martin, and then you have Terrence Steele in the right tackle. I think that'd have a solid offensive line to have Dak, give Dak time. Maybe Dak could even run a couple of plays. Have time for him to throw the ball and run the ball efficiently, and that's how we win games. And then for the third round, I have Parker Washington out of Penn State. I think that's your receiver that you could possibly go. If you don't believe in Turpin, or if you want Turpin just to be your kick return guy, punt return guy, then you can always go Parker Washington. I think he adds fire, like I said, competition to the thing. If they don't believe in Tolbert, which I don't, think you can go Parker Washington out of Penn State. I think he'd be a really good pickup. And then for the fourth round, I got them picking Eric Gray. I think he's a different style of a change of pace back. I think he's that bigger, more physical than Tony Pollard. I think he would give the linebackers help because Tony Pollard would be beating them with speed. And then once they're tired out from Tony Pollard running in on them, you have this guy that's going to come and bruise you. He can run between the tackles. He's, like I said, physical, gives you that tough yardage that Tony Pollard necessarily can't. And then if you can do him, and you can have him and Rojo rotating out behind Pollard, I think that'd be a pretty good 4-round mock draft right now. Like I said, that's my first one. There's going to be more coming out as the weeks and days go on by. But that's pretty much all I have for today, Cowboys. Like and comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be putting out more videos. Comment your mock round mock draft. You can grade mines if you wish to. But I'm going to be coming out more and giving out more content as the Cowboys news come out. Cowboy Rick out.